What's going on, everyone? Today I want to go over, are the older supports in Honkai Star Rail still viable, or are they just bad and you should never use them again in the meta and the endgame? If you want the short and easy answer, it's going to be yes, they're still viable. Now there's a lot I want to go over in today's video, so let's go ahead and break this one down bit by bit. Now let's talk about power creep first. This one's the main one, this is the big one. I want to get this one out of the way. With power creep, this was a big topic in the Honkai Star Rail community, and so is HP inflation. But what a lot of you probably just either don't realize or don't really think too much about is HP inflation and power creep are not mutually exclusive. HP inflation does make older DPSs more susceptible to power creep and makes them fall off, but HP inflation has virtually no effect on our Harmony units, any Harmony unit. The only way for a support to fall off is if they heavily rely on their own damage output, which doesn't exist. There's no Harmony unit in-game that does that. The closest we have to that is going to be Trippy, but no one builds Trippy as a main DPS. You may build her as a sub DPS, but even when her damage output falls off, inevitably, her buffing capabilities are still going to be fine. Now, I'm not saying that there's no power creep with Harmony units. There absolutely is. Take, for example, Bronya versus Sunday. In every way, shape, or form, every scenario imaginable, 100 out of 100 different kind of team comps and variations, Sunday will always be better than Bronya. So yes, Bronya has been power crept as the first ever 5-star Harmony unit. Does that mean that Bronya is bad? No. Bronya is not a bad unit. You may look at Bronya's kit and think of it as like, you might as well throw in a Yukong, but when you look at Bronya's kit, it may be a lot better than you realize. She's crit damage scaling just like Sunday, so you can build her the same way you would with Sunday, but even her skill at Trace level 10 increases the allies' damage by 66%, which is more than what Cyrene gives for non-Chrysos Air DPSs, by the way. And her skill also cleanses. What this means is even though Sunday can buff better than Bronya, can give energy regen unlike Bronya, and is extremely synergetic with summon DPSs unlike Bronya, if you want to use your Bronya and build her like a mini Sunday, you can do that. No one is stopping you, no one should be stopping you because it will work. Let's take Ren Mei next, the second ever 5-star Harmony unit. People say that at E0 S0, Ren Mei fell off, she's mid, all this kind of stuff. You have to realize that Ren Mei gives your allies 25% ult type res spend. That is more than what Trippy and Saridra give you, by the way. Another thing is, she also increases your allies' damage by 72%, which is again more than what Cyrene gives non-Chrysos Air DPSs. Sparkle next. I don't know how much damage increase she gives, but I know what's built into her kit as a Sparkle main. The other thing is, she's also crit damage scaling just like Bronya and Sunday. Now, does she have 100% action advance? No, but people mistook her kit. She's not meant to be an action advancer like Bronya or Sunday. She's fundamentally different. She's more so meant to be paired in team comps that are skill point hungry and at the same time can be extremely synergetic with quantum DPSs. But that part's not really necessary and it's not going to be a make or break. Ren Mei gives 25% all-type res pen, Trippy gives 24%. It's the same amount basically. I mean, Ren Mei technically gives more, but still, you have to realize that when it comes to general usage, these supports all do virtually the same thing. Yes, Sunday is going to be better than Bronya. Yes, Trippy is going to be better than Ren Mei for the most part. Does that mean that these older supports are bad? No, it just means that you have different options. I've been trying to advocate for this ever since they first came out with Sparkle. You have to realize that just going for the new supports and benching your older ones entirely is not a healthy way of playing this game, especially if you have attachment to your older supports. You have to realize this is coming from a free-to-play who consistently max stars the endgame as a Bronya and a Sparkle main. I do not have Robin, I do not have Sunday, my Trippy is E0, my Ren Mei is E0, my Saridra is E0. None of these units even have their best in slot light codes other than Sparkle. Which brings me on to the next thing I want to talk about, and that's going to be vertical investment. Other than Robin, no unit is going to get their full value from having them at E0 S0. With Bronya, you either want her signature or Sunday signature and E1 ideally. Ren Mei, you want her E1. Saridra, you either want Idolons or her best in slot. With Trippy, you heavily want to rely on her E1. You could also get her signature Lycone or Dance Dance Dance, but the E1 is what people really want to glaze. Sunday isn't immune to this either, by the way. He wants his signature Lycone badly. That's where a lot of his value comes from, and that's when he becomes skill point or semi-skill point friendly. Just getting Sunday E0 S0 is not going to power creep an E6 S5 Bronya and make her awful, unless you're running Sunday in a summon DPS team comp or a team comp where you really want energy regen, desperately want it. But for a lot of you, that doesn't matter. Even for you zero cyclers who really want these highly optimized team comps and go for low cycle clears, if you don't have Sunday or you need another Sunday adjacent unit, Bronya exists. You probably have realized this by now. They both have a very similar kit. Again, Sunday will be better in every way, shape, and form, but Bronya is number 2. She's perfectly fine. But I don't know what else to say. I think a lot of people just exaggerate the power creep when it comes to Harmony units. Like I said, it's definitely there. You'd want to pick Sunday over Bronya every time. You'd want to pick Tribi over Red Bay every single time. Robin still is a one-of-a-kind unit with her ultimate, but still, all of these supports are fine. If you vertically invest in any of these units, they will take you far. I have an E3 S1 Sparkle, and she is crazy. She's nuts. Does she have 100% action advance? No. But if I wanted a unit with 100% action advance, I would throw in my Bronya instead. Because Sparkle does not have that, I instead have to speed tune around that, and I made it work. You can do it too. It does not take nearly as much effort as, say, throwing in an older DPS and making them work. And when I say older DPS, I mean someone like a Sealy. I mean like a Marble Lune kind of old, like a 2023 kind of DPS. If you want to use Bronya, you can make it work. If you want to use Ren Mei, you can make it work, and you're going to find relative ease with it. But that's about it. One final time, I really have to hone this in because I know people are still going to say otherwise. I'm not saying that older Harmony units have not gotten power crept. They absolutely have. Bronya got power crept, Ren Mei got power crept, Sparkle got power crept. But the power creep relative to DPSs here, in this case, is minimal. It is minimal. People exaggerate it. Whether you're trying to use finely speed-tuned team comps or general usage, still, no matter what, these supports are going to be fine. The ones that got power crept or the ones that didn't. And some of these supports are still a one-of-a-kind. Syringa does something that no one else can with her double skill. Robin, 100% action advance for your whole team. Even with an S5 copy of Dance Dance Dance, no other Harmony unit can do that. Sparkle has skill point regen capabilities that still no one else, not even Sunday, can come close to. And you will find way more value in building up Bronya than you would probably expect. Now, all of you need to build Bronya. A good amount of you have no purpose in building up a Bronya or a Ren Mei. But it is still an option nonetheless. These units are still fine. If people heavily exaggerate the support power creep, when people say Honkai support rail, that still holds up true. The most powerful DPS still has essentially no value without the proper supports to back them up. But what you really want to emphasize with a support isn't who it is you're building. So I was editing this video and I just got to the point in the video where you're at right now, where I said that who you build as a support does not matter. I want to address this claim because I know people are going to take it the wrong way, bro. Look, so in a team comp with Castris, for example, it doesn't matter who you build for Castris as a support. Yes, you're going to want the dedicated supports, but that's the thing. Castris is a rare example of a team comp that falls apart without the dedicated supports, but not every meta DPS is like this. Take my favorite DPS, my favorite unit in-game and character, Finon. I have him E0 S1. No matter who I use him with, I get a low cycle clear. You saw it in the beginning of a video with the 3 oldest Harmony units in game. I got a 0 cycle clear with Finon. It could have been a max star clear if Bronya hadn't died, but nonetheless, he still got a 0 cycle clear. No Syringa, no Sunday, no Danheng Permanent or Terra, definitely not with vertical investment on the latter units. I made it work nonetheless. My second favorite character that this game has ever came out with, Saber. I also have E0 S1. People pair Sunday with her because of the energy regen of Sunday on top of Sunday's regular conventional benefits, but nonetheless, I use either Sparkle or Bronya. I alternate with my Saber, and nonetheless, she still performs well regardless. Am I getting 0 cycle clears with my Saber? No. But that's the thing, even if I had an E0 S1 Sunday, that's not going to change anything. Saber is just not at the very apex of the meta. She's just a unit that I use and I've built for fun. So it does not matter at the end of the day. She is a flexible unit who can synergize with plenty of supports, even the Herda. The Herda, I said this back in version 3.0 and I will double down now. She's extremely flexible as a DPS, she is still meta right now, and there's so many units that she works with to the point where even when she first came out, I already had a full team comp ready to use her with because of how flexible she was. I paired her with Sparkle, Jade, and Aventurine at the time, and it was nuts. I was getting crazy 2, 3, 4 cycle clears with her at E0, S0. So does it matter who you build as a support? Yes. Does it matter that much? Only for specific team comps, which is why I, as a free-to-play player, typically like to go for DPS units who are the most flexible and versatile. I don't like going for strict units who can only work in specific team comps. The only 2 instances where I've done this was Firefly and Acheron. Acheron I never managed to get her to work, and Firefly I stopped using a year after she came out because of my low investment team comp with her. You should have a large quantity of supports built 2 years in the game regardless. If you're a newer player, that's okay. It will take time before you start getting the max star clears in the end game, but you're going to want your bases covered when it comes to supports. You want a bunch of supports built, but you want vertical investment and heavy investment with the relics built regardless of who it is. But that's about it for this video. Does it matter who you build as a support? To an extent, yes, it does matter. But does it matter to the point where the older supports are trash and they're horrid? No. Every support, if we're ranking this off of Pride When, every support in game is either tier 0 or tier 0.5, and I firmly believe that, speaking from experience. So I'll end this one off here. We need to stop doom posting about Sparkle and Bronya. Even if they're tier 0.5, that's not an issue if they still get most people a max star clear with the proper investment. So I'll end this one off here and I'll say goodbye.